We thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. The process of learning, we should have the base of Migdash immediately. For Shleima, for Yichel Nasim ben Sarah, and Aaron David Alevi ben Menucha Lester. We're going to start Yitzayin Amud Beis by Meisvei. It's maybe 12 lines from the top. So we did a comparison here between a kohen drinking wine when there's a possibility that it may need to serve in the base of Migdash immediately, and a kohen not letting his hair grow. So we said that nowadays a kohen can let his hair grow long. We said, one second. According to most opinions, a kohen can't drink wine. It's only Rebbe that allows a kohen to drink wine. But letting the hair grow, everyone allows. So what's the, so how does that work? So the Gemara answered that we gave two answers, right? What the first answer was, you can take a haircut right away, but the wine you can't get rid of. He said, yeah, but you can get rid of the wine also. We said, no, if you drink too much, you can't get rid of it right away. But the haircut, you can do a quick snip. Then the second answer was that when someone drinks wine and then he does service in the temple, that invalidates the service. But if someone has long hair and he does service in the temple, it doesn't invalidate the service. So therefore, the decree that we made nowadays is only on something that would have invalidated the service even b'diavad. That's what we're saying. Okay. The Gemara says Meisvei. We have a contradiction. The contradiction is going to tell me that long hair invalidates the service even b'diavad, even after it's done. It says like this. Ve'ilu shein b'misa. The following is a death penalty by heaven. Goes like this. Shasu yayin a pruirish. A kohen that's drunk and a kohen that has long hair. He let his hair grow long. We understand why a kohen that's drunk, why this is an issue. We have a pasuk, yayin v'shecher al teisht. You should not drink wine and old wine. No, shecher. Shecher means beer in modern, and even in the Mishnah. But in the pasuk, it means probably like cognac or something. Or maybe not. Maybe it means beer. I don't know. By the Nazir, it has to mean wine. Not like what was his name? Rabbi Hertz in the Chumash. By the Nazir, he translates it as beer, which means the Nazir can't drink beer, which is, it doesn't fit with everything the Gemara says and all that. So, yain v'shecher al teisht, you can't drink wine. Ela pri reish min alan, but where do we know that long hair, that should be an issue? D'ksiv reisham la yigalechu, pera la yishalechu, d'ksiv basrei v'yayin la yishtu kol kain b'vayim al chatzar pnimis. The pasuk in Yechezkel that tells us about the kohanim, what they're allowed and not allowed to do, says that they cannot let their hair grow long. And afterwards it says that they can't drink wine. And the Gemara says like this, and we do a comparison. Drinking wine is compared to letting the hair grow long. So both of them have misa.
What's para?
The word para in Talmudic Hebrew means to uncover. In biblical Hebrew, para means like long hair. It means bushy hair or tangled hair or something.
Oh,
yeah.
So it says nor suffer their locks. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so that would mean
Like
person shouldn't suffer from the long hair. Leishalecha means you shouldn't let it grow long. Like, yeah.
Like untamed hair, right?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Yeah. So we're not finished the question yet. Our idea now is that if we have a comparison between drinking wine and letting the hair grow long, and both of them are b'misa, that means that there's a death penalty by heaven if a kohen serves with one of these issues. So we think the following. We say umine, and from this would come out imashisu yayin demachli avoda. Just like if he's drunk, it affects the avoda. even b'diavad, even after the fact. That means it affects the service, that it invalidates the service. This is pretty severe. So the long hair should also affect the validity of the service. So what are you answering to me? That why is a kohen allowed to let his hair grow long? Because it won't affect the validity of the service after the fact. It's not true. We're seeing here that it should. The Gemara says, "Loi, you're making an assumption that's not accurate." Yeah, I read through the parentheses. It doesn't affect the service. If a kohen has long hair, it doesn't affect the service. In other words, there was a comparison, but just because there's one comparison doesn't mean there's every comparison, right? Doesn't mean that the guy with long hair can't walk a straight line. Okay. Amalei Ravina le Ravashi. Ravina says to Ravashi, this is the end of the Talmudic period. Hamakami das Yecheskel man amra. It's a very general question here. Very basic question. Where do you learn this from? You learned it from the book of Ezekiel. How did we know this before Ezekiel? Kumar says, Amalei, he answers back. He answers back with a question. Hadam Rav Chizda. Davar zemiteris Moshe Rabbeinu le'lamadnu. Midivre Kabbalah lamadnu. Kol ben nechar. Ara leiv aral basar la'yavoi el mikdashi l'sharseini. Says that a kohen that didn't have a circumcision or a stranger cannot serve in the temple. Let's say for whatever reason he didn't have a bris. It says he can't serve in the temple. And where do we know that from? A pasuk in Yecheskel. It's the same chapter, just a little earlier in the chapter. Morning. Hamakami das Yecheskel man amra. But who said this before Yecheskel? How do we know this before? Ela Gemara Gamerla vas Yecheskel vas Mechayakra. We had a tradition. There's no question. We had a tradition. And then it got written down. Okay, then there's this parentheses here that we don't have to read. Okay. Turns out that we know everything from tradition, and it was just Yecheskel that wrote it down for us. Yeah.
Yecheskel doesn't always fit. Like there's something
There were
that has
contradictions there.
Yeah. He's like more strict than the Torah.
Yeah. The Gemara, I forget where the Gemara went through that. The Gemara goes through those contradictions and tries to answer it up. We had it, right? We had it in the Daf Yomi. I don't remember where it was. I'd have to look over there and then look at the notes and see which Gemara. What did it say? Isha Grusha Mekayan or something. Almana Mekayan you could take, but then there was something else that Nevelo Treifa, a Kayan is not allowed to eat Nevelo and Treifa. The Gemara asks, only a Kayan isn't allowed to eat Nevelo Treifa. The Gemara said, no, it's referring to I think the bird that would be considered Nevelo Treifa for someone else or something. Anyway, the Gemara answered up the contradictions. Yeah, so comes Yecheskel and puts it down from tradition. We have two ways of looking at the oral Torah. You have the traditional approach, is that we have the text of the Torah, and then we have a tradition that comes along with it. It tells us what the meaning is and all the laws. Then you have Reb Shamshon and Rav Hirsch's approach, that the original Torah is the oral Torah, and the text of the Torah is the notes. Someone goes to a shir and takes notes. He doesn't walk out with all the information. He walks out with his notes and what he has in his head. So the original Torah was the oral Torah, and the notes is just the Chumash, and the Tanakh is the notes. Okay. Kol HaKosov b'Megillas Taanis. Okay, what's going to happen here until the end, almost until the end of the Perek, basically, is Megillas Taanis. Going to discuss Megillas Taanis. Megillas Taanis is a Megillah. It's a manuscript that had in it holidays during the Second Temple. We've mentioned it before. And what we brought it in before was that there was a machlekes Reb Meir and Reb Yossi regarding days before the holidays. Are they also considered holidays? and days after the holidays, and they also consider holidays. And Rabbi Yossi was more strict. He extended it to before and after, and Rabbi Meir only extended it to before. Anyway, what happens now is Tana Rabbana was taught in the Brisa. Ilin Yemaya D'Leilesna B'Hain. These are the days that you don't fast. You don't fast, but you're allowed to do a hesped. Hesped is a eulogy. Eulogy means that it's something sad, right? So you can't fast because it's a semi-holiday, but you're still allowed to do a eulogy. But some of them, some of them are real holidays. You can't do a eulogy either. Now we're going to go through what the holidays are. From Rosh Chodesh Nisan until the 8th of Nisan, it took him to Mida. The Tamid was established. There was a debate between the Shemronim and the rabbis if the carbon tamid came from personal money, if someone could donate a carbon tamid, a daily tamid, or if it had to come from community money. And they based their source on Esakeves Echad Tasa, which is a singular, Tasa Babayker. And the sages said back that Tishmeru Lahakriv Li B'Mayadai is a plural. Tishmeru is a plural. So it has to come from community funds. So anyway, it turns out that the Chachamim won. And because of that, they made a holiday. They made an 8-day holiday from Rosh Chodesh Nisan until the 8th. The Leila Mispidbain, you can't even have a eulogy on those days. It was a victory. Mitamnaya Bey Ad Seif Mayada, from the 8th of Nisan until the end of Yom Tif, which is, I guess, the 22nd, right? Until the end of Pesach. Itus of Chagad the Shavua, Leila Mispidbain. There was a debate also between the sages and the Perusha and the Perushim and the Kutim and the Shemronim, if the not the Kutim and the Tzedukim and the Sadducees. I'm sorry, did I say Shemronim? I said it should be Baitusim. It was a debate between the Baitusim and the Perushim. The Baitusim held that Shavuos is always on a Sunday. One of them said, there was an old man that said, God, of course, loves the Jewish people because Shavuos is just a one-day holiday. Out of his love for the Jewish people, he wants it to be Mimachras Shabbos on a Sunday. That way we should get a 2 days off, 2-day holiday. And the sages said that no, Shavuos is whatever day of the week it falls out on. Mimachras Shabbos means the day after Yom Tif, not the day after Shabbos, not a Sunday. So yeah, that would be the Easter is always a Sunday, right? Is Easter always a Sunday? Yeah, that would probably be associated by the Baitusim interpretation of things. That Mimachras Shabbos means a Sunday. And that's what they were, nothing to do with our tradition. Right. Okay. So, there was a debate, and the sages won. Because of that, they made a holiday from the 8th of Nisan until the end of Pesach. And this is such a big holiday, the Leila Mispidbain, that you can't even have a eulogy on those days. For sure, you can't fast. You can't even have a eulogy. Amar Mar. Okay, that's a quote from Megillas Taanis. Now we go back to examine Megillas Taanis. Yeah, we're using Amar Mar because it's like a brisa. Amar Mar, we said, is discussing a Tanaic source. I guess Megillas Taanis is the first written work, maybe. What would be the first written work? The first written work of the oral Torah would be Megillas Taanis. Maybe
Targum.
Targum was written. We think that Onkelos is a Talmud of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. There is a Zayar that says he's a Talmud of Hillel and Shammai, but I think that we know that that's that needs to be edited. That's probably a mistake in the text. So maybe that means that he follows the teachings of Hillel and Shammai or something. I have to look at that again. But Targum would be, well, Yonasan ben Uziel would maybe, the first Targum would be, he's a friend of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And Targum Onkelos would be a student of Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, right? Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua's student. And all of that is around the time of the destruction. But this is in the middle of the Bayis Sheni. It's in the middle of Bayis Sheni. Yeah. Yeah. Maccabees doesn't count. Maccabees 1 and 2. Okay.
So you could pull on Megillas Taanis and just read it like they have it.
Yeah, he brought it in. Reb Naftali brought it in before. But... So we go back to examine a statement from Megillas Taanis. Mireish Yarcha, the Nisan, Atamnaya Bey, took into me the Leil Misped. From Rosh Chodesh until the 8th is a holiday. No eulogies. Lamali Mireish Yarcha. The Gemara says, why do you have to say from Rosh Chodesh? Lema Mitrei Nisan, say from the 2nd of Nisan. Rosh Chodesh Kufei Yom Tov U'Vasar. Yom Tov is anyways, Rosh Chodesh is anyways a Yom Tov. You can't have a fast on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and you can't make a eulogy on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. I know it's a Taanis Tzadikim or whatever, but it's Rosh Chodesh. Okay. Rosh Chodesh. You should just say. The Gemara is sort of asking, like, remember that the guy selling fish? So he made a sign. It was going to say Cohen's fresh fish on sale or something. So then he says, "Why should I say Cohen? Everyone knows who I am." They say fresh fish. What do you think? I'm selling old fish. It's on sale. What do you think? It's not. It's I'm keeping it. Of course, it's on sale. Anyway, so he didn't make a sign. So over here we're saying, why do you have to say Rosh Chodesh from Mireish Yarcha? Mireish Yarcha, it's anyways. Okay, so leave that out. We'll start from the 2nd. Okay. So Amar Rav Leinitzcha Lalesa Yom Shelafanov. Very interesting point. It says that it starts on Rosh Chodesh because whenever we have a holiday in Megillas Taanis, the day before, the preceding day, is also a slight holiday. So it has to say Rosh Yarcha, or else we wouldn't have that extra day, the day before it. The Gemara says, 1 second. The Shelafan of Nami, Teipak Le, the Havale Yom Shalifnei Rosh Chodesh. But so what? It's Rosh Chodesh. So the day before would be the day before Rosh Chodesh. So that should also be considered a holiday. The Gemara says no. Rosh Chodesh D'Oraisahu, D'Oraisa Le'Boi Chizuk. We don't need to have the day before a biblical holiday also a holiday, because the biblical holiday is so strong that it doesn't need any support. The rabbinic holiday needs support. They have to make it stronger. They have to make it stricter, and they have to have the day before. People may not keep it. So we have to make sure that it's strengthened. But the biblical holiday doesn't need any support. So the day before Rosh Chodesh is not a holiday. The Tanya was started in the Brayso. Yom Melach Suvim b'Megillas Taanis Lifnei Malachreim Asurim Shabbos v'Yom Tovim Heim Asurim Lifnei Malachreim Mutarim. When it comes to Shabbos and Yom Tov, you don't have to make any days before and after into a holiday. Shabbos and Yom Tov is so strong it doesn't need any help. Ma Hefresh Bein Zelazeh. What's the difference? Why by Megillas Taanis do we say the preceding day is also a holiday? Halal Divrei Torah. These are the words of the Torah. The Divrei Torah and Shechem Chizuk. It doesn't need any support, any strengthening. Halal Divrei Seifrim. This is the words of the scribes, which means the rabbis. The Divrei Seifrim Shechem Chizuk, that has to be supported. It needs strengthening. So that's why they have the day before. Okay, so we had a question, and we gave an answer. The preceding day is the reason why we have the Rosh Chodesh in there as well. Amar Mar. Let's go back and discuss another point.
Understand if the holiday is it's not the Rabban, it's the Oraisa.
Which holiday is there? I said Rosh Chodesh. Yeah. There is a discussion why is Rosh Chodesh considered deraisa. It may have to do with Kara Lai Mayed, which is referring to Tisha B'Av, or at least Rosh Chodesh. Yeah, they discuss in the commentaries why Rosh Chodesh is considered a biblical holiday. Yeah.
Hmm.
Work is not usher, but it's Taanis. We don't do fast days on Rosh Chodesh. Yeah, it's gesund. Okay, Amar Mar, we go back to explain another point of the Megillas Taanis. Mitamnaya be'ad seif maya de Tosef Chaga de Shavua, the Leila Mispid. From the 8th until the end of Pesach, you hear the question coming already. From the 8th until the end of Pesach is been established the holiday of Shavuos, that it could fall on any day of the week. It doesn't need to be on a Sunday like the Baitusim held. And therefore, those days you can't have eulogies from the 8th until after Pesach. Lamaliad Seif Mayed. Why does it have to say until the end of the holiday? Lema Adamayed. Let it just say until the holiday. And Mayed Gufei Yom Tov Uvasar. The holiday is the holiday. You don't have to include that in Megillas Taanis. We know you can't fast on the holiday and you can't have eulogies on the holiday. Rav Papa Kadam Rav. Rav Papa says, like Rav says, what we wanted to do is we wanted to make it forbidden the day after the holiday. Just like Rav answered the last question, that what happens on Megillas Taanis? The preceding day is also a holiday. So too in Megillas Taanis, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, it's a machlekes, if the day following the Megillas Taanis holiday is also considered a holiday. According to Rabbi Yossi, it is. According to Rabbi Meir, it's not. We're saying, now what we're answering is that why did we extend the holiday of the Shavuos, of the establishment of Shavuos, of the debate between the Baitusim? We extended it till after Pesach because we wanted the day after Pesach to also be considered a holiday. The Gemara says, Gemara says, come on. That would mean that you're following only one opinion. Which opinion would you be following? Rabbi Yossi. This we had before in the Gemara before. Where was it? Was it the Gemara, the Mishnah? Yeah. It was actually in the Mishnah on Tesvav Amud, the beginning of the parak. Tesvav Amud Beis. The Mishnah said, Kol HaKasav b'Megillas Taanis D'Leila Mispid, L'fanav Asal Acharav Mutter. Rabbi Yossi Yomer L'fanav Ula Acharav Aser. Rabbi Yossi says that before and afterwards is Aser. The Leilis Na, then L'fanav Acharav Mutter. Rabbi Yossi Yomer L'fanav Asal Acharav Mutter. If it's just a fast day, I'm sorry, not a fast day. If it's just a non-fast day, then even Rabbi Yossi would agree that the day afterwards is not a holiday. But a day that you're not allowed to do a eulogy, Rabbi Yossi says the day afterwards is a holiday. Okay. Okay, we have an answer. Who's the author of Megillas Taanis now? Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the author of some other things, of Seder Olam, right? Rabbi Yossi is Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. We mentioned Reb Chalafta yesterday.
I don't understand why it talks about the 8th day of Nisan. Isn't Pesach was on the 15th?
Yeah.
So
This
that was
doesn't
when
have
the
to
fast
do with,
starts?
no, this is that it's a holiday that we don't have any fasting.
Right.
You're not allowed to fast on those days because it's such a special day. You don't establish fasts. Masechtas Taanis is talking about establishing fasts for difficult times. Time of prayer and all of that. So we don't do that for during these days. Also, the eulogies in Chabad, officially they don't do eulogies by the funeral, but they'll do a eulogy by a shleishim or whatever. They'll speak about the person, but by the funeral itself, they don't do those long eulogies that they do. They stop in a shul and they don't really do that. It's like more quick. Seder Olam? No, that's what the Gemara is suggesting. The Gemara is suggesting now that the author of Megillas Taanis is Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara is going to challenge that. But who is the author?
It's not
Oh.
open on it.
Uh-huh.
I will look it up on my phone.
Okay. Oh, really? Uh-huh. The Gemara now says, if it's Rabbi Yossi, you're getting into a problem. If Rabbi Yossi if you attribute Megillas Taanis to Rabbi Yossi, then be'esrim v'tishanami my area daviyayma de mekame yayma de mesukam tamida we said, why did we start from Rosh Chodesh? Because what we wanted to say was that the day before Rosh Chodesh, the 29th of Adar, should also be Asr. Adar is usually 30 days, right? Adar is 29 days. Adar is supposed to be 29. So the 29th of Adar should also be a holiday, because that's what we're saying. We want it to be the preceding, that was the Chiddush here, that the preceding day is also a holiday. So if that's the case, typically the Havala Yaima the Basrasim V'Tamnaya, if we accept Rabbi Yossi to be the author, then it turns out that there's another holiday on the 28th of Adar. And if it's Rabbi Yossi, then the 29th of Adar should be also Asr Behesped, because it's following the 28th of Adar, which was a Megillas Taanis holiday. The Tanya was taught in a Brisa. We had good news. So the 28th of Adar is a holiday. We do not need to be mevatel. We don't need to be mevatel Torah. We're be allowed to learn. Shapam achas. What's the bach over here? Leila mispid. You don't do any eulogies. Shapam achas nigzer gzer al Yisrael. There's one time a decree against the Jewish people. They weren't allowed to study Torah. That they should not be allowed to circumcise the children. And they should have to work on Shabbos. Ma asa Yehuda ben Shemua v'chaveirav. I'm sorry, ma asa. What did they do? Yehuda ben Shemua v'chaveirav halchu v'natlo eitzim matronisa achas. They went to take counsel from this matron, this noble woman, Roman noble woman, that all the great men of Rome would frequent by her. And Amra Lahem, she told them advice. She says, Amdu, get up, Bifkinu Balayla, and make a hafkana, make a demonstration by night. So that's what they did. They went around the streets of Rome. Halchu Bifkinu Balayla. They went around the streets of Rome and they made a demonstration in the night. Amra, they said, Ishamayim, like, whoa, heaven. They're like davening to Hashem, but they want the Romans to hear. They say, are we not brothers? We don't have the same father. We don't have the same mother. I guess referring to Esav. Why do they treat us differently than every other nation? That you make decrees against us. That they make decrees against us, right? Atem. Yeah. Hanani ben Chizkiah wrote Megillas Taanis. Okay. Hanani ben Chizkiah was also the one that went into the attic that answered the up the book of Yecheskel, right? It's not the Gemara Shabbos. The contradictions in Yecheskel. I think it said 300 things of oil or something that he used candlelight to be able to resolve those contradictions. Okay. Ubatlam, and the decrees were annulled. But in that day they made a holiday. Okay, so this was a story the story was being brought because it was asking a question. Why do we need to say that the holiday of the Tamid, that when the Tamid was established, that it's brought by the community, not by the individual, started from Rosh Chodesh, because you wanted to tell me that 29th of Adar is also a holiday. But if that's the case, then that can't be following the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, because the 28th of Adar is a holiday already, as we saw from this story, that the good news came that the decree was annulled, that they could study Torah, they could keep Shabbos. So that would mean that according to Rabbi Yossi, the 29th of Adar was a holiday because it was the day following the 28th of Adar. So if it's Rabbi Yossi, then you lose the answer. It must be that the Megillas Taanis is really Reb Meir. not Rabbi Yossi, which leaves us with a question. Why do we need to say that the day that Megillas Taanis, that why do we need to say that there's a holiday from the 8th of Nisan until after the holiday? To tell me the day following the holiday, after Pesach, is also a holiday, that would only fit with Rabbi Yossi. That would only fit with Rabbi Yossi, and we're saying now Megillas Taanis can't be Rabbi Yossi. Yeah, so we got into like a real mess trying to resolve a question, because the answer to that ended up making a new question for us. We lose it. We lose the old answer. Amar Abaya. Abaya says, don't drop the whole story. Keep the old answers, Abaya says. You know what's happening over here? Adar has 30 days. That's the case. Then Aleph Nisan was a holiday based on Megillas Taanis. The 30th of Adar is a holiday because it's the day preceding the holiday of Megillas Taanis. The 29th of Adar is a holiday because it's the holiday following the 28th of Adar in Megillas Taanis, and it all fits. We have enough days here to fit Rabbi Yossi's sheet in that the day following a holiday is also a holiday, and we can also use our answer. It's a bias teretz. Rav Ashi Amar afilu tema l'chodesh chaser. Rav Ashi says it's not necessary to say that we're dealing with a 30-day Adar. Really, it could be a 29-day Adar. Well, however, we'll say like this: Kol shela acharav b'tainis aser behesped muter. The day following is not a full holiday. The day following a holiday is only forbidden to fast, but you're allowed to do a eulogy. So therefore, the day following Pesach is a holiday, but just for fasting. You're not allowed to fast, but you're allowed to do eulogies. However, this is going to be an interesting point here. Because it's in between the two holidays, it got sandwiched between. You can't do a hesped either. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. We don't say Tachnan on Rosh Chodesh Sivan. We don't say Tachnan. That's Aleph Sivan. Gimel Sivan is already the Shleish Zimei Agbala. We don't say Tachnan on Beis Sivan either, because it's called Yom HaMiyuchas. It's in between the 2 days. I think Yom HaMiyuchas had to do with we established the families or something. But I think as a joke, they say it's Yom HaMiyuchas, that it has good parents and it has good children. Because the day before it was a holiday and the day afterwards is like it has yichus. So anyway, the day that gets sandwiched in between two other holidays becomes a holiday as well. Yeah, that's what just happened to us here. So yeah. That's not in the Gemara. That Yom HaMiyuchas. That's a Polish Torah problem. Unless I don't know.
I thought the first 12 years has to do with the same or something.
No, the first 12 days. Rosh Chodesh, Shleish Zimei Agbala, Shavuos, the 13 days, and then you have the 6 days to make up of Tashlumin, of the sacrifice. That there was no Chalamayid on Shavuos, so you bring it for the 6 days afterwards. That leaves us with the 13th of Sivan. Yeah, so that second day of Shavuos really didn't have any significance except that it has yichus. Sivan, second day of Sivan. Okay. And they say yichus is 0. Right? They say that someone told me it's a Rashash. Rashash says it somewhere. Someone says I have yichus, it means he has more zeros. And 0 is nothing. So if you're a 1, then you could become a million. You have to be something also. Okay. They joked by the Satmarav. So they were talking about the yichus and this and that. Anyway, so someone said, I come from Avram Avinu. So the Satmarav said, from which wife? Okay. Amar Mar. We go back to examine another statement from Megillas Taanis. Mitamnaya bevad seif mayadei tosef chagad shvud leil mispet. From the 8th of Nisan until the end of the holiday, it was established the holiday of Shavuos could fall on any day of the week, and therefore we made it into a holiday that we don't do eulogies. Why does it have to start on the 8th? Let it start on the 9th. Why? If you remember, we had another holiday here. We had from the 1st of Nisan until the 8th of Nisan. The second holiday was from the 8th of Nisan until after Pesach. But the 8th is a holiday twice. Why do you need to have a holiday twice? Let it be a holiday anyway, so you can't fast. I mean, you can't fast. That's what it means. You can't fast. You can't do a eulogy. So why does it have to start on the 8th? Let it start on the 9th. Kimadila miklabe milsa, ubatlino l'shiva, tamnai gufei aser. Davale yom kamadi tisbechag the shvaya. The Gemara answers like this. It says, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe something's going to come along, and we're going to have to nullify the first holiday. When the first holiday gets nullified, the first holiday means from Rosh Chodesh until 8 got nullified. If we started it on the 9th, then 8 would be lost. 8 wouldn't be a holiday. So we established that it's a holiday as well, just in case the first one gets lost. The Gemara says, Hashtadas lahachi. If you're saying that, now we go back. We have another answer to a question we asked earlier. Esrim v'tisha nami. You asked, why do we need to say that it starts on Rosh Chodesh? Because you wanted to get the 29th in as a holiday, 29th of Adar. Dila mikla milsa batlino esrim v'tamnaya. Maybe something will happen and we'll end up nullifying the holiday of the 28th. So esrim v'tisha gufei aser. So the 29th of Adar will remain aser. The havla yoma the mekama yoma they succumb to me because it will be the day preceding the not just the Rosh Chodesh, but the day preceding the holiday of Megillas Taanis. Okay, very interesting. So we came out over here with 3 answers on that question. Answer number 1. Why do we have to say Rosh Chodesh? Because we wanted to say the day before it, right? It's more than that. It was more complicated than that. Wanted to say the day before it, but we didn't have to say the day before it because that would be the day after. So for that, we answered that maybe it's a leap month. There's 30 days in Adar. And so therefore we had to say the day before because the day before would be 30th, not the 29th. Another answer was Rav Ashi, that it would only be Aser B'Tainis, not Behesped. Now that it gets sandwiched in between, it's Aser Behesped as well. Now we have another answer that just in case it becomes Batal, just in case the 28th becomes Batal, we still have the 29th there anyway. Yeah. Itmar was stated, Reb Chia Barasi Amarav, Halacha Reb Yaisi. Reb Chia Barasi, usually it's Reb Chia Barashi. I think it's the same person, I don't know. Chia Barashi in the name of Rav is just a Talmud of Rav. He says the halacha is like Reb Yaisi, that the day following Megillas Taanis holiday is also a holiday. That's Rav's opinion. Shmuel Amar halacha Reb Meir. Shmuel says no, the halacha is like Reb Meir, that only the day preceding a holiday is a holiday. Shmuel says the halacha is like Reb Meir. Does he really say so? But Tanya, but we have a brisa. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Omer. Shimon ben Gamliel says, "Ma Talmud Omer behind shtei pamin." If you look in Megillas Taanis, the Gemara now is learning Megillas Taanis like the way you would learn a pasuk. It says, "Ilin yemayad le'lisana behind, mixasin the misped behind in them." Why does it have to say in them? In them. So, Leimar Lach, it's coming to teach you Shem Asum Lefneim Lacharim Mutarim, that it's only in them. It's being medayak, that it's not the day preceding and not the day following. That's the opinion of Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Well, so what? That's his opinion. The problem is, Vamar Shmuel, Alachik Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Shmuel passing like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, that the day preceding is not a holiday, and the day following is not a holiday. Before you told me Shmuel passing like Reb Meir, that says only the day following is not a holiday. It's a contradiction. The Gemara says like this: Mikar Savrik even the Lekatana the Mekel Karab Meir Malach Karab Meir. Really, all Shmuel wanted to do was to say we need to be lenient about Megillas Taanis. So he didn't know of another opinion that was more lenient than Reb Meir, so he followed Reb Meir. Even the Shamaler Reb Shimon, probably Ben Gamliel. What's the base over here? Ben Gamliel, the Mekel Tvei Amar Alach Reb Shimon Ben Gamliel. Then he heard that there's even a more lenient opinion, so he took that opinion. Okay. What we did was we resolved the contradiction. We said that there were stages to his psak. When he found out that there was a more lenient opinion, then he took that one. Well, he's heading in a certain direction. Yeah. V'chein amar Bali. Bali is at Shem Chacham. Bali said, apparently he's a student of Reb Chia bar Abba. Chia bar Abba was a major student of Reb Yochanan. Yeah. The Gemara Brachas tells us that every 30 days he reviewed everything that he learned in front of Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan would correct him. It's Rabbi Chia bar Abba. So, Chia bar Abba, Rabbi Yochanan Alachik Rabbi Yossi. Bali says in the name of Rabbi Chia bar Abba, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that Alach Zik Rabbi Yossi. That would follow Rav. Amalei Rabbi Chia LaBali. Rabbi Chia tells to Bali, Asbralach, I have to explain something to you. It's not 100%. Ki Amar Rabbi Yochanan Alach Rabbi Yossi. When did Rabbi Yochanan say the Alach Zik Rabbi Yossi? Ad Leila Sna. That's only on days that you're not allowed to fast. But days that you're not allowed to do a eulogy,
Those days he did not rule in accordance with Rabbi Yossi.
yeah, well, it's a little bit more complex. What happened was on the days that you're not allowed to fast only, but you're allowed to do a eulogy, Rav Yossi held that the day preceding is asur, but not the day following. Even Rav Yossi, that was strict, only holds the day preceding. So Rav Meir holds not even the day preceding. So Rabbi Yochanan accepted that, Rav Yossi, that the day preceding is. But on a day that you're not allowed to do a eulogy, Rav Meir held that the day preceding is asur, and Rav Yossi held that the day following is also asur. So in that, he passes like Rav Meir that it's only the day preceding. So really, Rabbi Yochanan would never say that the day following is also asur to fast. That's what comes out. Okay. Now the Gemara says, really, Rabbi Yochanan paskin like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yochanan halachic stam mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan all over Shas says that the halacha is like a stam mishnah. Stam mishnah means an anonymous mishnah, but there's no name. And we have an anonymous mishnah, Utanan. It's taught. Even though when it came to Purim, it says that you can celebrate, you can read the Megillah on the days preceding the 14th or the 15th of Adar, depending on the market day. People that didn't have a minyan in the town, they would go to the market on Monday and Thursday, and they would be able to hear the Megillah there. Even though you could read the Megillah on those days, but mutarim behesped b'tainis, those days are not really holidays. You are allowed to fast on those days. Yeah, I'll prove it. Taanis Esther. Apparently, there was no Taanis Esther back then. I'm not sure when that started. But anyway, that's a whole discussion. So, Amos, which day are we referring to? The Gemara is going to analyze this. And after we finish analyzing it, we're going to come out with a problem. We are, according to this, Rabbi Yochanan, it cannot hold that the day preceding a holiday is a holiday, like Rabbi Yossi would say, because the halacha is like the Stam Mishnah, and it's going to contradict that. But first, we have to analyze what's going on. Amos. Are we talking about that it's people that are supposed to read it on the 15th, but they're going to read it on the 14th? They went to the city. Really, it's Shushan Purim, right? It's a city like Shushan. Umishari, is that permissible to have a fast? Not to read it. Is that permissible to have a fast? You're telling me that it's mutter the Taanis if they read it on an earlier day. Megillus Taanis. It says clearly in Megillus Taanis that the 14th and the 15th are always holidays. Yom Arba Asar Bay, Yom Chamisha Asar Bay, Yimei Purim Minan, the Leila Misped behind. Okay, you can't even have a eulogy on Purim. Not only in Shushan is the 15th a holiday, but in Shushan, but even or Yerushalayim, but even in other places, the 15th is a holiday. We don't say Alanisim, but it's considered a holiday. We don't say Tachna, right? You're not allowed to do a eulogy. We call it Shushan Purim. And the same as in Yerushalayim and in Shushan, on the 14th, it's also a holiday. Okay, so obviously we're not talking about the 14th or the 15th for either places. Rather, we're talking about people that really should celebrate Purim on the 14th. That's what we call Purim. And they're reading it on the 13th. Oh, and they're allowed to fast. The Gemara says, 1 second. Yom Nikanarhu. That's another holiday. This is getting wild. There's holidays all over the place. The Gemara is going to say later what Yom Nicknar is. It must be that they're not reading it on the 13th, they're reading it on the 12th. And they're allowed to fast. The Gemara says, Yom Trianasu. That's the Trajan day. And that's also a holiday. You got another holiday there. Elalav must be the Kakarale Bechadesar. They're reading it on the 11th. Right? And we see that the day before the Yom Trianas, the Trajan day, is allowed to have a eulogy and a fast day. We see that Rabbi Yochanan cannot paskin like Rabbi Yossi. He's permitting the day before. Rabbi Yossi would not allow the day before. The Gemara says like. You have a question? Yeah, the Gemara is going to say later what happened. Yeah. Loi b'nei arba'asar v'kakarlei kama. B'nei arba'asar, really, it's people that really have Purim on the 14th. V'kakarlei b'treisar, and they're reading it on the 13th. We said 1 second. I'm sorry, Tresar is the 12th. Yeah. Trey in Aramaic is not like in Latin. In Latin, it would be 3. In Aramaic, it's 2, like tripod. Right? That's very confusing. The Aramaic and the Kamre Yom Trianasu. You said the 12th was already a holiday. Yom Trianas Gufei Batla Batlua. They got rid of that. That holiday doesn't exist. So therefore, it's no problem, and you're allowed to fast on the 13th. I'm sorry, on the 12th. Because Shmaya and Achiyav got killed. We have to look that up. They were the Harugi Lud and Psachim Dafnun. We have to see what that is. Does Rashi over here say that we don't know who they were? Chasidim Hayav, V'lei Pirish Mihem. Doesn't tell us who. Rashi doesn't know who they were. What exactly happened. The other Rav Nachman Gazet Tanisa B'Treisa. Rav Nachman imposed a fast on the 12th. Amalei Rabbanan, the Rabbanan said Yom Trianasu. That's the Trajan holiday. So he said, Amalu, Yom Tranis Gufei Batloi Batlo. Hayil Venag Bashmaya Ba'achia Achiv. Okay. So from a holiday, it turned into a regular day. They took off the holiday. But typically, they have a Yom Shalifnei Yom Nikanar. But 1 second, it's the day before the Yom Nikanar. Amar Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says, 1 second. You want to say that the day preceding the Yom Nikanar should be a holiday? Hashta iu gufei batlua. Mishum Yom Nikanar nekem nigzar. Because it's the day before Yom Nikanar, we already said that that's a bad day. And so therefore we're allowed to fast then. Now you're going to tell me that I'm not allowed to fast because it's preceding a good day? My Nikanar, my Trianus. Yeah, I don't like to do this, but we should stop over here. We'll stop. We'll get to these. We'll do it tomorrow. What's the background? Okay. I know everyone's going to read it when I'm not looking.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah.
Have a